Hi, Mrs. Hannon here, coming to you for the next episode of Reading Rangers. We are here in the fairly sad, cluttered home office, because we all have one, and today I want to talk to you about sight words. This is something, wow, do I get a lot of questions about that. People will come and say, what's the difference between sight words, high frequency words? When do I introduce them? What's this all about? Well, it's complicated, and I'm going to try to take you through it pretty quickly and just give you what you need to know as a parent, all right, for teaching your child at home how to read or helping them learn how to read. So it goes back to the 1950s, all right? English is a squirrely language. Don't ever forget it. That's the answer to most reading questions. English is a squirrely language, all right? And back in the 1950s, we said, well, hey, wait, a lot of words we can't sound out. They're irregular words, okay? They're rule breakers. And we called those sight words, all right? And those have to be learned from memory. So a couple of people, the first one I think was Dolch, came up with a word list and said, here are all of these really common words in the English language that can't be sounded out using the appropriate phonics rules. Great, because you have to memorize those. Okay, well, along in the I want to say 70s, I'm sure somebody out there in the internet will correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 60s, came up with another list called the Fry word list, all right? And those include high frequency words. See, sight words are your rule breakers. No matter how many phonics rules you learn, they're not sound outable. They break the rule. So you have to memorize them. High frequency words are a little different, and the difference is important. High frequency words include rule breakers, and they also include what I like to call not yet words, okay? And not yet words are words that kiddos need to know from an early age, but they haven't been taught the phonics rules to sound them out yet. Oh, it's an important distinction, and I'll get to why, all right? So I call them not yet words, all right? Irregular words, rule breakers, plus not yet words. And in reading pedagogy today, we mainly teach what we call high frequency words as they come. And we often don't make a distinction between the two, but I'm going to tell you why it's important to do so in just a second. I like to call when I'm working with a young child, I will call the not yet words the second. If I'm working with a first grader, I'll call them second grade words. And then kiddos like, I know some second grade words, woo, right? If you're working with a kinder, they're first grade words. Just make it up. They'll believe anything, right? You know that if you have littles, they'll believe just about anything. So go ahead with that, all right? It doesn't matter as a parent if you know if it's a third, oh, well, we don't take that phonics rule until the third grade. It doesn't matter. Just tell them the next grade, all right? So I put some examples down here. Take a look at this. These are really common sight words that every kid needs to know. Sight words, all right? I, like, and the, right? You need to know those words to read English. They come up all the time. The is the most commonly used word in the English language. Here's the problem. The breaks all the phonics rules. Uh-oh. So that's going to be a sight word. Notice how I made it the same color, even though I have some pretty limited marker supply at home. I is another word. It's a sight word. We don't normally run around saying the long vowel sound, right? Because if you're a kindergartner, what does I say? It says short vowel first. Ugh. So we have to memorize that as a sight word, okay? But words like, all right, that's actually perfectly sound outable. It's not a rule breaker. It's a not yet word. And in fact, this is a late first grade word. We learn the short vowels first, then we learn the sneaky E long vowels at the end of first grade. Like. So if I was teaching a first grader, I wouldn't introduce this as a sight word. I would introduce this as a long I when the time came. But if you're with a kinder, they might need to learn it as a sight word. Same with and little. A says or a. It doesn't say until the end of second grade as a first syllable, like again, around. That's when we learn that. Okay, so Then we've got little, again, end of second grade word, maybe middle, all right, where we do multisyllabic words, All right, twins in the middle, split them apart. Little, consonant L-E, the sixth type of syllable, right? Again, a first grader or a kinder doesn't care. They just care that it's little because they need to know the word. So how do you teach these words? Well, handy dandy chart for you. First things first, don't overdo it. Please, 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 as an educator, I'm asking you, please don't print out that Dolch list or Fry or any other list you find out there. Please don't print those out and make flashcards. Let me tell you why. Because if you do that before kiddo learns how to properly read in a balanced program, you're teaching kiddo that the primary skill that they need to learn is memorization on sight. They'll start looking at word shapes. While that's a great skill, especially for sight words, all right, that's not the primary skill that they need to learn for reading. So when we introduce those phonics rules, it's going to be very hard on that kiddo if they've been trained again and again, memorization on sight. Okay, so please don't overdo it. Give the sight words or high frequency words as they're needed. Once kiddo comes across it in a book and asks, then it's time to take it on, all right? And you need to anchor it with letters, and you need to give context, whether it's a sight word or a high frequency word. I'll show you right now my method for teaching these. All right, so let's take like. Okay. The word is like. Word. You respond with the same thing when I snap. The word is like. Word. Spell like. L-I-K-E. Word. Like. Good job. Notice that there's an L at the beginning and a K inside. There's your anchor letters. This is important. So let's remember L and K. What word has L and K in it? That's right, like. Good. I like Skittles. You do a sentence. Okay, so you see in there, I gave anchor letters. There was that, memorize it on sight. Okay, anchor letters and oral context. Give me a sentence where it belongs. Later on, you can further make those connections by writing a sentence or putting the appropriate word in the appropriate spot on the sentence. That will really cement the sight word, okay? But like I said, anchor and context are really important. A lot of people just memorize them on sight. Anchor and context. Good, so that's a regular word, all right? That's a first grade word, second grade word. Now, I only have one color of cards at home, so I just made this one fancy with a star, and, I underlined it in green to show that it's a rule breaker, okay? So when you're doing these, not a rule breaker, rule breaker, okay. The word is the, word, spell the, word, I like the puppy. You give me a sentence. Good job. Good. Now let's look at this. This is a rule breaker, but we have to memorize those letters. T, H, E, the. It doesn't really look like the letters sound, does it? Now, so that's for a rule breaker. Sometimes you'll come up with an anchor letter. Sometimes you won't. The, it has a buzzy TH, a voice at the beginning. So you could go that way, but I probably wouldn't, just because it's confusing enough, right? So on to review. Sight words, high frequency words. Try to differentiate the two. If you don't know if a word is a high frequency word, a sight word, just reach out. Hit me an email. All right? So don't overdo it. All right? Do it as needed. Learn them as you need them, and anchor and context. All right? That's the way to sight word success. Next time I see you, we're going to be talking about decodable readers and why they're very important as your child is learning how to read with some sight words too. All right? Until next time, thanks a bunch. Don't forget to hit me up with questions or suggestions on what the next video should be. Bye-bye.